So, moving into the next section. I like the next one. Yes. We worked with the Kokyu version of the Kokyu Nage. We worked with the version projecting your partner here. And we worked with the version projecting your partner here. And we worked with the version so using the elbow again, take a time. If we look at the Suwariwasa Kokyu Ho that we're doing when we're finishing each class, this one here, then there are versions that go from that position here, and you can throw to the side. They can also go to the outside as well. So you'll find both inside version where you're mostly working on that arm here in different directions. And yeah, we were doing this projection at the end of the last class. So we're going to the outside, the rear. Okay, this is like the one we did where we turned here and went to the outside. So now we're going to do a direct entry. I'm going to go to the outside rear, coming up here, this hand on the inside, turn, and go. And the same as before, you can keep your hips in that position as you throw. You can use the hips and then step in, or you can basically step in as you throw. So three versions should all be coming from the hips, but the feet have three different versions. And we're going to the outside first. And if we look at the way we use our hands in Aikido, there are actually three basic forms we use. One is Tegatana. You're trying to do it yourself. You can be one or both. Tegatana. The other is when we finish, we quite often have the hands here. And the third is here. This is also Tegatana. So it's basically 1, 2, and 3. So in this case here, this upper hand I recommend using. I see some people are sort of like this, and it becomes sort of a push. And this isn't really a strong position from a body construction viewpoint. This is the way we use the sword. So if you're doing this, it won't be that strong. You're going to be using the outer muscles. This will bring the inner muscles and the hips into play. If you're doing the grip, then you should be gripping here, right? And that will be for a high fall you're holding here. But for the basic form, be careful you're not pushing with your hand here, you're turning it in. Again, one of the main points that I always talk about, waki o shimeru, keeping the armpit closed. So here, and that way. Projection that way. Tegatana in use here. So using that form, basically we're stepping in and throwing in that direction. You can also step to the outside and do kind of almost form, throwing across. And in a more Kinonagari form, you can actually step back slightly. So the two first can be done from a stationary form, where you're stepping in and throwing, or stepping to the outside, 90 degrees. The last one is done in Kinonagari. Otherwise, you have to pull your partner, and that doesn't really fit with the principles. So looking at side step or rear step can be done. But now let's do it from the more fluid form. So when you come in the ground, you step to the outside and throwing him 90 degrees. And the second version, instead of stepping in, I'm sort of stepping back. There's a kind of pull, but he's in motion here. He's coming towards me. I'm still stepping to the outside a little bit, but I'm leading him and pulling him in that direction. So this one also has a version where I return. So it's coming in, return here. So again, we're using this movement, one of the basic forms that we're working on. It's important to turn so that you're using your shoulders and your hips at an angle. If you turn this way, he'll strangle you. So you need to lead his grip this way. So the one hand is going down here. If I just make my regular turn here, and this happens. So I have to lead his grip downwards and around the neck. Again, very important that when we're training our Aikido is to decipher what's going on in terms of ashisaba, foot movement. Is it Tai no Henko or is it Kokyu Irimi? Those sort of basic foot movements. And this one we're doing Tai no Henko. He comes in, I'm doing a Tai no Henko turn, and then a slide step forward. Okay. I'm going in to meet him a little bit and turning around his grip. Okay. It can be done where you sort of lead him forward, but in that case I wouldn't do Tai no Henko. It'll be a slightly different version. So what I'm doing now is I'm leading him, I'm turning, and then doing Tai no Henko. We'll do the other one afterwards, but I'd like to get this one sort of set. So Tai no Henko turn, and then a slide step forward. Oh, yeah. Yes. Doing the same foot now instead of Tai no Henko, then hip turn. So you're leading your partner now. He comes in to grab. Sometimes you actually even see seated technique where you sort of standing, but now because we don't have room to sit, but you're leading now. So it's a turn of the hip, comes in. Right. Posture, she said, it is very, very important in this. And quite often when we do our Aikido, we sort of lean into our techniques. So we're putting our upper body into the technique. And especially in techniques like this, it will really pull you off balance. I could feel myself going off balance a few times because I wasn't careful enough about staying upright. So really try to think of turning around the vertical axis. It's actually less important to get the technique done than it is to stand strong. So in this case, remember, try to stand as upright as possible. So we're going to go back to the Tai no Henko turn from the same, but in this case, I'm going to lead him in. So turning, stepping to the side, and in. Can you recognize that one from the old kick? The same technique, but now based on Ryokai. So again, it's important to use your shoulders in order to control your partner's grip. So if you keep your shoulders horizontal, you're going to get choked. You need to lead his grip and you turn parallel. I'm turning here. Notice my hips are down and making my shoulders. Otherwise I'm going to run into the zone. So I'm leading his grip that way. And from there I lead down, and my hips turn here. Again, the hips not involved, and I get choked. So down, and I'm stepping in here. So, ankle turn, lead, and step. Right? So the same technique, but now I'm going to go into a step forward, and then I'm going to do the turn. Okay? So started by doing a basic Taino ankle turn, turning on the front foot to the side. So it's basically going to be the same, but I'm going to step forward to the outside in this case. So that means whatever foot I have behind me, I'm going to step forward, and that will be my Taino ankle pivot turn. So we have to be able to do both of them. For instance, he's coming at me, and somebody's over there. I can't step to that side. So I'm turning down. I can throw here, but I can also take the same step. So we're going to do the long version, like we've just done. But no matter what's happening, I'm going to step here and then turn. So I'm on this foot, I'm going to step in and turn. I can lead him quite far in this movement. Again, if I have to apply it to a multi-attacker situation, I may not want to stop here, but maybe somebody's standing over there. So I'm going to lead him over here, and then that way I can throw him towards that person. So there's quite a lot of flexibility in this technique in the first movement. So I'm going to step, turn, I can lead him a little bit, then to the side. And in this case, I don't actually know which side he's coming in on. So basically what I'm doing is he's coming in, I'm going to take a little angle. I'm angling a little bit, angling and so I'm forward with that foot. I'm still going to go at a slight angle. So applied, you don't know which foot is coming forward. The important thing is that you leave him here and extend here. Saito-sensei would often make this point when you're doing this technique. Yeah. This part of the hand is the one that is where you're meeting your partner's chin, and the power is going through the hand and into the arm. He made a very strong point about don't point your fingers forward. He said it's nasty. You're getting your fingers into your opponent's eyes. If you want to think about it as a destructive technique for self-defense, total face grab where you go in and get the eyes and rip. It's very effective, but that's not what we're doing. It can be. It's good to know. Grabbing the face, going for the eyes and pulling down is quite nasty, quite effective. But the technique here is getting into this position here. It's basically a palm heel strike when you're going into this kind of a strike here. So the power is coming from the hip and through into this palm of the hand, the heel here, and it's coming from the hip. So don't move the fingers forward. When he comes in to grab, extend, keep the hand this way. So the fingers are pointing up at all times. And I notice some people are going in with the opposite hand. Should be same hand, same foot forward. And basically the one that you have. You can step into it. You can step into it. Or just go straight in from the foot you have forward. Most of all, remember to angle off the line of attack and to have good, strong body posture, structure in your stance. Right? In certain cases, when you are vertically challenged and you have a person who is vertically enhanced, then it might be difficult. It depends on when he's coming here. One thing is he has to grab me where I am. So he's not coming in and standing at his almost 2 meters. He's coming in to grab at this point. So I can still reach him at at this height. What I don't want to do is try to be overreaching. If my partner is 2.5 and I have to reach up there, this arm won't be in a strong position. If that's the case, then I prefer to go there. I won't get exactly the same reaction because I won't be bending him over backwards, but I will be propelling him backwards to a certain extent, keeping him at a distance, pushing him back. But even though Mikkel is that much bigger than I, as I go down, it's bringing his grip down towards me. And this hand is still within the proper distance of me to get that technique to work. But just be aware of it. If you're even smaller than I am, and there's too much, it's too far to reach, you can see you have to reach way above your head. Then keep your hand lower and just go towards the solar plexus instead. Again, continuing to action to remember one that goes here. Maybe wrong, but it's somewhere there's one in the back of my memory. So coming up and coming down. Coming up here, careful because he doesn't have anything to protect. And cut down and then when he gets his grip on here, yeah, you're sort of controlling his grip. So you don't want to, it's actually good if you can keep the grip, because that controls his technique even more. So it's not one of these where you want to try to loosen his grip. And maybe remember you want to put anyway. It's valid today. I don't know next one. Just a note about this one, your stance. When you come in here, you're sort of pulling this way. And when you get into the technique here and you're turning, I recommend when you turn that you rotate as well, so that you don't end up standing with the outside leg forward. That gives you a little bit of bad point of balance. So here I've got an angle, I'm cutting down, but I also want to rotate a little bit. So I have a line here, get here, I'm going to throw him. He's probably going to turn in that direction. So as he turns, I'd like to slide around so I'm in a good strong stance. And basically, grab, turn, throw. Valid Kokyu Nage principle. When he comes in here, I'm getting at an angle. I'm grabbing what I have, but I'm grabbing what's in front of me. So I'm holding in front of my center. And controlling my center, I'm doing a spiral downward turn with a pivot on the front foot, and ending up in my basic stance. So even before he gets a hold of anything, I can actually be proactive and throw. But I'm coming into attacking, I'm grabbing, turning, spiraling down. It's not just a grab. Grabbing could be like this, which is not very strong. It's an Aikido grab. So whatever I'm doing, I'm holding here, my hands. It could be I hit something here. That's a good strong grip. This isn't. So it could be I get the shoulder, I say a piece of cloth here, but I'm holding here. Okay? Again, I'm keeping the armpits closed, I'm grabbing here. Could be I get a hold of the gi, that's great. It could be it's not. Could be it's a throat, it's anything. And bringing down. But the grip should be centered, and it should be based on the way we grip when we're doing our Aikido. What you get a hold of doesn't really matter as long as it's in front of you. It wouldn't be right for me to get out here as much. I'm not that centered. I want to grab something here in front of me. I could do it here, but I'm a little bit wide. I grab something here, and I basically like to have this hand on top. Giving me a good grip to turn spirally down.